Well, good morning. As we're sitting here, what is it? Yes, a Wednesday morning, September 11th, year 2024. Here with the Hello Hello show that's been on the air since 1980, and of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there making it your business to enhance and fortify this concept. And I was thinking to myself, this special day with so many points of reference attached to it and emotions and whatnot. 9/11, as we witnessed it 23 years ago, and I remember sitting here with this show in the morning and experiencing everything that was unfolding live. So I really think it's important uh, to be able to express ourselves and our feelings and emotions and whatnot. So yeah, this is the day. If it is any day that is suitable for uh, reflecting out loud, and um, I guess this is yeah. If there's any day, this is the day. But the more I think about it, for me, like every day is this kind of level of urgency where you find yourself diving. I'm not actually you willingly diving into it. You just kind of find yourself diving. It's like you don't remember jumping into the water, just suddenly finding out that you're in the depth and you're maneuvering and trying to reach whatever it is that you're trying to reach, just as if it was above water. But the advantage of I gotta do something here. Just bear with me. Okay. Um, uh, let's see what's going on here. Yeah. So to consider every day, and being at LTV, being with a part of this wonderful entity, public access, is the epitome of what allows us to maintain that level of decency. And you know what? The, Post 9/11, it was all about maintaining that level of decency, and by doing that, by keeping that straight face, you're ensuring that the necessary level of stability, emotional and spiritual and social, is there to stand for that which is needed by way of communication, by way of compassion, by way of volunteering, by way of donating, by way of giving the attention, by way of discussing the issues, and by way of making that which is important to you important. And that withstood the test. Our country withstood the test that we're unfolding and becoming by the minute. And when you look 23 years later, as we're sitting here like this, you can realize that there were more proper, positive, correct decisions that were made than otherwise. And that's why we're sitting here and indulging in and enjoying in and taking advantage of and experiencing the availability of such entities as LTV as we're sitting here and doing our thing. So a portrayal of a community is not as lame and as unimportant as one might think. Um, all uh, the happenings after you make a point that indeed certain things are important to you and for the way you conduct your life and for raising a family and for being a part of the community by participating directly or indirectly. When you realize that you need never mind just as much to put the attention and to invest your time and and focus and close on that distance that exists still nevertheless, but not out of that panic where we need to close the distance as if we are like in a race, uh, and everyone is trying to get there first, but rather just close that distance because it spells progress. It spells we're moving forward. So yeah, even though for me 9/11 is a special day, I'm thinking more like every day is a special day in that sense because we want to be able to realize the advantages that are taking place, the progress that's taking place, the inventions, the newness, the breakthroughs. And these are things that you don't have to pause or stop to check indeed if it's happening or if it's real. You know for sure, you know for a fact, because everything happens as we go along. Everything happens as we're thinking about other things. For me, going into the studio is the um, the spelling the proper structure as as if we were to tell the story in the most clear, coherent way. Uh, if I want to write that fantastic, one of a kind poem, the poem of my life, I'm sure that I will find myself going, beginning and ending, and so much more through the adamant more than anything, in order to achieve freedom and modernism and all of the ism that gives us the sense of expressing ourselves uh, and stating our uh, the essence, what it's all about, what it stands for, and to know that at the same token there are millions of people around the United States doing exactly the same. So at first I thought 20 years ago it felt like I'm alone. Like, okay, I don't care how advanced I think I am and how much I think about certain subject matters and what kind of solutions and resolutions and enough information, to be able to solve that, which will help dissipate the obstacles and make that kind of pause as short as possible so we can get back to normal, so we can find ourselves in our natural state, which is constant ongoingness. And what we used to think is an obsession once, now we know it's just being in a good mood and in a good place, and being effective and being mindful and being present. So the era of thinking that mixing, quantity with the lack of quality and um, a and let's just say that profoundness with meaning, and never a meaning that can be achieved through something that might be cliche, or the fashion in which you approach it is an adamant by nature, and all the things that you think that in uh, that are just simply not proper. You realize now, I mean, I know according to how what I realize and what I find out and discover, then I take it for granted. And I'm sure 90% of the people, the likes of me, like me, are going through. And yeah. So it's okay. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, I know what happened here. So these sensations are so far away from me right now. A debilitating sensation that takes its toll on you, took its toll on me because I was ignorant, because I couldn't see clear, because I couldn't see, and even if I saw clear, I was dealing with the wrong information, the wrong subject matters, the wrong requirements. Um, so it was easy to get lost and to find out that you're actually working against yourself. But once you do something about it, and once it kind of goes away, it never comes back because it knows better than to show up, and this encounter will spell nothing but a burden. So anything in nature or otherwise that will start entertaining ideas to mess with you will think twice before, because you know they they can venture further and find something that a little less resentful and more yielding and more kind of helping Mother Nature to get away with whatever, or people get away with their plans, get away with what they're trying to achieve, even if they know that they're up to no good. The cause itself, the story itself, the subject matter itself is it's up to no good. The direction. After all, we cannot just promote hatred and aggression and violence and think that we are doing something good. So we know enough not to find ourselves actually in a reality that's unfolding after you make a decision that happen to be miserably wrong. Not only wrong, miserably wrong. So nowadays, and I know a group of people just like me. It works. Sometimes when I observe them, it's like I say, "Oh my God, this is who I am, what I am. This is how I've been coming across to my community, to society, to wherever I go and take myself in the process." And so that's why I find that the verbal aspect of that multiple mediums that are available when it comes to the domain of art, the verbal aspect, the written word, is actually the most potent, the most immediate in terms of communication, the most immediate in terms of stating your case, stating your word, stating your message. And the impact you should be. There's no reason why it shouldn't be being realized quickly enough. And by the time you realize that actually you're going through certain things that you think you are, you will be so deep into the process, it's not going to be funny. Thinking of an enemy like we used to, like we experienced in 2001, September 11th, and October 7th in Israel, it's like uh, so ridiculous. And you know what? I choose the word ridiculous because there's so many other words that I can choose. Um, like so evil, so inhuman, so non-compromising, so broken, so vicious, so animal-like, so disconnected, so violent, so violent. I remember, and seriously, it's like long before I would find myself reading and dealing of why people are doing what they're doing, and what did I have to do with it. Even though I know that it's ridiculous to think that I had something to do with what's happening in the world, the performance of a small group of people that are just so vicious and so full of hatred and so um, so bloody, so unbearable. And and then of course, once I start, realizing, I'm starting asking myself out loud, or out loud or quietly, why? I realize I need to stop immediately, right away, because I know better. At least I know that I can accept that which I don't know in the nature of it, and that realizing that you don't know something is really, is realizing that indeed you know something, even though it's about something that you don't know about. So that you will find out that you have this bearable dialogue with yourself, and it's ongoing, and it's just as serious as if there was a person in front of you that you were to interact with, and create dialogue this way. So I think I know what I'm going to do here. Just give me a second here. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Okay, I'll fix this later. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah. So to that's better. Um, the I think all the artists that are giving it a shot in their own immediate vicinity, where they consider as the shrine of their the execution of their of their art, of their paintings, of their sculptures, of their music, of their poetry, and then they know how to construct um, the first form of expression that will be evident standing in front of him at any given time, to remind him that this kind of beauty is being created by themselves also, by them also. So that which you admire and saying this is a beautiful painting, it's taking place while you're knowing that you take part in it, that you are someone who is exhibiting his work uh, all over the place in the same fashion that you're examining and admiring an exhibition of someone else, and that level of familiarity is a reassuring factor in the ongoing process that requires replenishment and reboosting and attention on moments basis. And And you already went through the shakiness of that early stages of introduction to the real life. And when you come back from your like the depth of your sophistication related to your art and to your medium, you realize that the adamant reality in front of you is not less profound and sophisticated. Actually, the opposite, maybe even more so. And you, being who you are, always want to examine further and deeper, even though sometimes you feel like you can do without, you know? Sometimes you just feel you can do without. And you don't necessarily think twice about it or have any doubt lurking and 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 bugging you and causing you to slow down, things like that. That's the beauty, you know. I felt like this first couple of years, I allowed myself to feel miserable and to feel scared and to feel vulnerable and to feel exposed, to feel weak, to feel insignificant, uh, to feel like people can, I'm someone that people can do without, kind of thing, you know, and I'm not necessary where I am and what it is that I do and what message do I carry is something that people don't stop to examine and to see maybe they can support. It doesn't happen. But indeed, as time goes by, you know for sure that it does, and you don't need to get to insist in getting the proof. You don't want to uh, you don't want to dwell. I mean, the worst thing that I can think is that I will find myself dwelling. You know, so things change. You know what, and not everything deserves to vacate a new battlefield for it to start a whole journey of something that you can really do without. You know, the aggression, the resentment, the violence, the all of these mixes of things um, that are there as a given and can really rob you from vital energy and slow you down like nobody's business. And because you know you're in for the long run, you know, in that kind of when you look right and left, you know where you are, you know what you're doing, you know when the message is, you, at least you know what the message should be. It's good enough. But um, it carries a punch, and you would like to think that you're like on for the ride, and that there's no reason necessarily to think that you're not going to make it. So you know if you're going to make good time or maybe slower than than you thought it would be and whatnot. But at least you know you're getting into the finish line. That's kind of level of comfort that if you experience that and sense it and feel it, then you're in a good place. You know you're in a good place. It's not that. So you do get flashes of these people out there somewhere in caves or deserts or I don't know what. It doesn't matter. You know, in training camps, and all they want to do is all they want to do is just like wreak havoc and kill and whatever things like that. Okay, so you say, yeah, people are going to really bring themselves to New York City and to the United States of America and look around and see this unbelievable reality supported by your own society, by your own neighborhood, by your own group of friends. And everyone approve of this beauty, of this perfect combination that create this sophistication and abundance and availabilities right in front of you. So I want to think about whomever comes to our country and looks at all this and gets hit by this beauty and by this too good to be true reality, and will decide to take an airplane and ride it directly into some buildings. Now, this one cannot even define and describe as insanity. It's too little. It's not even enough to describe the earliest stages of that kind of possible thought that came into people's minds. And then they're finding themselves actually saying, yeah, I think it's a good idea. um, so easy to be the villain. It's so easy to perform evil. That's the thing about it. Like, and the sad news is that anybody and everybody out there, if you were to stop them and say, you think you'll be able to perform some acts of evil? You think you can come up with some really weird things to cause and inflict pain on others? People will have no problem to invent, you know, I can take the Holocaust and what the Germans did and multiply it by 100 with my imagination of what I could do if I wanted to, if I could, if I, whatever. But it's so difficult to declare what the basics are in the name of love and in the name of compassion and patience and understanding that we all need something that we always hope to get from the other, and that we believe in the name of this evident togetherness that's unfolding in front of your eyes. In the name of that, you're actually experiencing the moments of tranquility, or moments of relaxation, the moment of having the privilege to find out that there's pretty much nothing you need to do, that you're just absolutely simply perfectly happy where you are and how you are and what you're all about, everything about you. This is not an unheard of description of some people's life, some people's background, some people's immediate zone of happening. There are more people out there that are enjoying not doing exactly nothing and not thinking that it's a bad thing and have no reasons to find themselves hating themselves or working against themselves. It's just not a possibility. So people come to this country and and then just like they think that they just get poetically uh, and declare in a very poetic way their non-wavering commitment to inflict pain and to make it very traumatic slash dramatic, like very theatrical, like, okay, we're going to take some airplanes here and we're going to fly them into buildings. Not a bad idea. What is the psyche behind that? Forget about the things that are too obvious. Yes, of course, people were raised from early stages on the basis of resentment and understanding that resentment is an important thing, and then shifting into who you need to resent once you're already capable to resent because you were taught very meticulously how to do it. And you take all these factors of school and home and parents and teachers, even if they're all going to be in sync and on the same page, um, it will still be not possible to stand in front of your given qualities and capabilities and strengths that life itself and nature itself understands be- beyond any shred of doubt. So on one hand, you want to scream to the heavens and say, "What's going on? I need to understand. Please, someone give me something." On the other, I realize I don't need to ask anything because evil itself doesn't have any intentions hiding what it's doing. So it's available. It's almost like common knowledge. It's like general. It's like to be shared by everyone, accessible. Um, no problems. You want us to send you a copy of everything about everything. We'll do it right away. Next day delivery, you'll get it. And and in the process also to find out that it's important to just be a mensch, be just a person, and portray and externalize what it is that you really need. What are the basics? That means we can talk, we can philosophize, we can be talented, we can be so much more. But if we don't have that glass of water in front of us and maybe a sandwich or something, we'll be terribly hungry quickly enough, and then maybe a day goes by and we'll be very, very, very disturbed and upset and weak and scared because we don't have anything to eat. And that's like just 12 to 20, 12 to 24 hours. And yeah, I'm finding myself very tired because this subject matter is heavy duty. And also, I'm not a big sleeper anyway. But indulge me if you catch me yawning. Well, you know what? Tough luck. I need to yawn sometimes. This is a part of the equation. So you say to yourself, really? Like, I mean, I share with you honesty and clarity like 23 years ago, September 11th, when this happened. And I was here and we went to the producer's room and we saw actually the second plane hit live. And I kept on saying to myself, really? Really? Like, really? You came halfway across the world to our country and you said, we think it's a good idea to just get some airplanes together, fly them into buildings, and see what happens. So, that question, somewhat to a certain degree, to a certain extent, that I was asking myself or wondering out loud, really became the factor that yielded to and um, um, fortified the resolve and the knowledge of what is best to be done and what needs to be done, what's important to be done, what must be done, and all of the above. But I think when you ask yourself, really, it carries more punch. It carries more punch because it's saying, it's like, what the freaking heck is wrong with you? You're so messed up, I can't even feel sorry for you because it's just going nowhere. You're so messed up and you need so many kinds of different people in your life constantly for a long time before before you before you change any. So because why do I need to give you an explanation of why I am so upset? Wh- Why am I? Why am I? Why do you think I needed to find room to apologize all the time for? I don't know for what. I really don't know for what. I don't know for what. I don't know. And and then while I was contemplating, I decided that that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything that will trigger it to open up, and then I will only be able to find out that I'm doing what I'm doing only after I have begun, and maybe it will be a little too late because then I would have to clean house and go back to square one because this kind of situation wasn't supposed to develop and to be open for business. So so what am I going to answer them other than telling those criminals, you know what? If I could get these two hands on your neck, squeezing the life out of you because you're like the epitome of evil and hatred and garbage. Your soul and your spirit and demeanor is absolutely infested with garbage. And the world just happens to be needing to go through this process because what else? What else we gonna do? What else is there to go? Where else is there to go? Where are we gonna go? Where is it possible to hide? And even if it's possible to hide, is it the right thing to do? There's so many questions. But we like questions because we like to contemplate and we like to find out all over again every time that indeed we live in a country where we can just change our mind every second. And nobody's going to knock on your door and say, "Sorry, you changed the mind too many times. We gotta take, you gotta come with us." And no, uh, this is not happening. You're allowed, if not even encouraged, to add layers. It's okay. It can never be too much, too late, or too early. So, also, quickly enough, I realized that I don't really need to go there. Yeah, now and then I will say, really, really, you traveled across halfway across the world in order to come here to the United States of America and say, we think it's a good idea to kill $3,000-4,000 in a wonderful, beautiful afternoon in Manhattan. Like, what the heck? Really? So now we find that it's our job to annihilate you and to kill you and to burn you and to whatever, intimidate you and to show you the extent of our wrath and hatred and resentment and 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 violence and friction. And then when we wake up now and then, as we're on the journey of revenging our anger and our and I was resenting an act by others that is just unheard of. Yeah. But lucky for us that we don't find ourselves dwelling too much for too long or anything like that because we know better. We need to put the time. We need to put the time. Stroke after stroke, layer after layer, and and that constant process, ongoing process of reintroduction, reintroducing. Forget about introducing. We spoke our word completely and fully, uh, regardless. And now we're re, we're reintroducing it to the surface. We're implementing it on the given surface and the given medium, and whatnot. Just so much stuff, so much more. Also, in the sense of um, imagining how we remember to be soaked with the ability to chill out. And you know that the chilling out is an American invention. We knew, and we still do, but we prior to September 11th, we were like masters of chilling out. No one in the world could have done that better than us. Just sitting back and chilling out. What are you doing? I'm chilling. Chill, baby. And so this right there, it compacts so much meaning. But also in the same token, that that person or this group of people, they are going to have to go through. They cannot resolve it in their head, even though they got the final numbers and the result. They have to go verbally out loud through every stage and every step of it. And that's indeed exactly what's taking place. So actually, I'm happy to be able here to be able to sit here and just talk. My answer to 9/11, to those terrorists that came to our country and did what they did, and those that potentially still want to come and do it. My answer to them is you're going to have to face and reckon with the power that the likes of me are, you know, producing and making available. Hundreds of them are going to be available. And that's going to give enough time and serve as your answers, as your source of interaction, and so much more immediately without delaying. But now there's something important up in the air because you're showing goodwill to show some good work by good artists. That's the answer. If you want to pause again and wonder the answer to which question or what question, we're going to just very politely and nicely ignore you because we know better than to get into it now. We know enough in order to proceed. And we already know that about ourselves and about the process itself. That we're better off not dwelling too much and, oh, I'm not going to touch this. I touched it twice. It's twice too many. I'm not going to say that because that's going to be like really trouble out in the world and who wants to get a part of it, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to leave some time. We got about 15 minutes to go to share with you. And actually, yeah. Mm, yeah, I have it. Let's see. Five photos. That was pretty good. Yeah, that's good. So, uh, okay, yeah. So, speaking of, uh, you know, sitting here the way we do, and by the way, just to mention that we're sitting here on Wednesday morning, September 11th, year 2024. And I hope that in the last 40 minutes, I managed to somehow coherently build up one little tiny concept that makes sense. And the other is just admiring the work of others. That's the way it works. Admiring the work of others and knowing that you're taking part in more ways than one in a very formidable, impressive way. So you're saying uh, it's a okay. Oh boy. Um, it's like when we find ourselves this feeling of wholesomeness in when we think about eternity, and also when we think about maybe suddenly finding ourselves being beggars that are dreaming in street corners, and people come and go all the time, and you have to encounter life through your interactions and discussions with people, and it just feels like a feast. And that feast is actually very tricky. It can be very constructive and very destructive. So it's a fine line there, and it can break any second. Um, and there's, a shocking brainwashing that's taking place, and you don't quite understand. You can't put your finger anywhere to trying to say, at least even in general, speaking that indeed it took place or it didn't. And um, especially because there's like rejuvenation is taking place and it's ongoing, so you don't want to disturb that. Want to be able to just kind of be a part of it, an observer slash participant, and the less observant you become, the more participant you will become too. uh, yeah, but I really don't think I want to focus on the beggar, even though it's actually a prototype and a character that can really be helpful in the process of our self growth. So you accept that there are no outside forces. Like even though maybe you believe that there's some alien somewhere and all this, but for the most part, you say, what is it important for me to know anyway? It's not like I'm gonna not be able to continue if I don't know what's happening over 30 miles above my head. That's not really so so you dismiss it, and you're bleak about it, and uh, you know and then a blast of grinding placements, something like that, that will help you cementing your place in where you are now, that you happen to love very much, and happen to accept the fact that you might spend the rest of your life wherever it is that you are in, and um, and you want to be prepared, even though you know that your chances to be actually prepared are next to zero, even if you're going to be at your best. It's a very grim reality, and I mean, I don't mind it, because as soon as I say it or discuss it and deal with it, I let it go, and I lose interest completely, just as much as I have my full attention available for it. So it depends. It's case per case, case by case, and trying to be humble and trying to be kind to myself. So it's like a main flow of arteries that are fluctuating, and they're not surprised, and suddenly they come to an abrupt halt, and you're talking about blood flow. It's not a joke. And but this engagement is really creating something that is surprising and joyful, and 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 it's shifting between the soft spoken, the soft spoken, and the unheard of, and they're both peaking with delight, and and joining forces in that sense, cementing the stage upon which we find ourselves, let's just say, uh, uh, busy making this realization of ours or realizations of ours as a fact of reality, as a matter of fact in that sense, and also that which will, in the future, when we cannot really hands on fight our own wars, will do the fighting for us because there's that non wavering structure forming a collage of some incredible qualities. It's always on demand, always is engaged, and a reassuring presence of that force is something that humanity owes to a lot. So you encounter that, and then you maybe allowed to enter through the back door and then perform your wonder and magic. And it happens more often than not, actually. I was very surprised to find myself just kind of tricking myself into finding an alternative additional entryway. So I won't be too predictable, what the heck. And I don't really even know what it means not to be too predictable. I never thought actually I would hear myself say that. It's not like so you uh, so you're really finding out that you want to penetrate. You want to penetrate. You want to understand that which you wonder of and about without really resolving it. I don't want to be in therapy where it's like Freudian therapy where I have to form a relationship with the sofa, you know, and it all I wanted to do really is maybe take a nap while the therapist is speaking instead of the other way around. I would have loved to sit and think about, wow, what a story. My therapist spent half of the session talking about her engagement and her uh, touch and go, blending, cooperating, sharing kind of entities, uh, and it's a fantastic feeling to know that uh, you can get the answers, even though you're very reluctant of submitting and sharing certain things with people because it's not the business, but your capabilities are. And before you know it, suddenly they're your adversaries. So suddenly they're like your enemies. Suddenly they're like the ones who are going to pick up a fight with you because they think you don't deserve whatever it is. What is it that you don't deserve? They don't even know, but you don't deserve it. Uh, and they let you go only because they realize of your strength, you know? So it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling if you think about it. And the uh, and the extent of that engagement is what makes it possible for a community to benefit from acts and action on behalf of artists. Artists that day in and day out express themselves by writing poetry, playing music, and painting paintings. Yes, as much as it sounds cliche and too good to be true, but it takes place throughout the communities of the United States of America. And public access is actually a number one entity that allows people to come in and reflect and speak out loud and communicate out loud and deliver the message and send it forth and making sure that it's long lasting, And it is important. It is important to remind evil that maybe he needs to think again next time before they so hastily will decide to perform just because it was convinced that the battle will be short and victory will be achieved very, very quickly. So, on that note, I would like to really take it back to the concept of public access that not only allows you to be yourself, but also advises you about the way to go about it. And that's it. And that's like a major miracle, to say the least. And we accept it with love, and as it should be, really, if you think about it. Uh, in in the spirits and in the name of the enormity of the event that took place 23 years ago on September 11th in New York City and in other locations in the United States. And we need to be reminded that we need to resist the urge to sometimes be politically correct and behave according to being politically correct, and rather gather your energies, gather your thoughts, gather your capability of taking action, gather your desire to 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 find a way for you to give that which you have so much of. And then just as much as you want to show the world that you're taking these things seriously, you want to also show the world that you're not the person and the type that will, we're not the country, the state, the powerful entity called the United States of America for nothing, this what you say around and what you complain about and what you're happy about. It's a result of almost 3 centuries, and those centuries are centuries of formation, of increasing tolerance, increasing compatibility as far as sharing and as far as coming together and opening up a discussion. But it's about about things that are just as adamant of as driving the merchandise that you ordered online, and the truck is taking it. Next thing you know, they're right at your doorstep and they're unloading. And so that's what we want to believe in. Not only that it's available and possible, but that it is indeed the right thing to do. So it doesn't take much for us to agree with ourselves. Yes, in the head, outside, inside, and say yes, yes, yes. And that's what we need to continue pursuing in the name of that. And when you find yourself engaged in art, you don't have to put aside any energy or any mechanism in order to be reminded, or to be reminded, and to have you serving as a reminder for something else that will unfold, and that will bring together uh, the the you that thinks that it's a good idea to bring two ingredients together, and happens to be this one, and that all parties involved will actually agree with it and say, not only that it's a good idea, but think you got a winner combination there. Whatever it is that you chose works well. It will wonderfully blend and wonderfully unite. And I hope that I can sit here and say that I hope that the future will spell nothing here, at least in our country and, of course, in the world. That the future will spell uh, uh, the ability to endure, because that evil is not going away. So we increase the vigilance, the level of vigilance, and then uh, and we're not going to be getting caught dwelling. And we see the reality as it is, at face value, and we see it clearly. We don't need reminders, really. And we remind ourselves as much as we need to remind ourselves, and that's all there is to it. And I wanted to finish by saying, and to conclude, we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and as much as we're here this morning, Wednesday morning, September 11th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. Keep up the good spirits. We got wonderful ongoing group art shows here, and we encourage you highly to come and visit with us. We'll see you soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful morning.